Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Just after I put up the post the other day about steering head bearings, somebody asked me about what kind of pullers are available to get the bearing races out of the head stem. I'm just waiting for some carburetors to come out of the ultrasound machine, so I thought while I was doing that I might just show you the two different kinds of pullers that I use. The first one is this thing here, which is a slide hammer, obviously. I bought an expanding blind bearing collet. This has got a thread that runs in here with a punch nose on it, and as you screw it in, it actually expands that collet out. This is a head bearing race that's here. Now I'm trying to do this with one hand, so again bear with me a little bit till I get it all to fit and show you. So when you push the bearing in through the bearing puller in through the race, it doesn't work on every model. There are some of the early models where the bearing race goes down flush into the recess in the stem, and they're a proper mongrel of a thing to get out. But most of them have got a little recess machine there, and you can actually get that blind bearing puller to go in through the bearing and expand out like you see there. Then you wind the punch in and lock that in place. Screw the slide hammer on and whack it. It usually takes 3 or sometimes 4 whacks to get the race out. It usually takes 2 to shift it off the stop, and once you shift it, it's all over. The next one knocks it out usually. It doesn't work every time, like I say. There are all kinds of blind bearing puller tools around. Some of them cost in the hundreds of dollars. The other one I'm going to show you, I've disassembled it. It actually comes from CycleWorks in the USA, and I've been using one of these. This is the second one I've had in maybe 10 or 11 years. The first one worked okay, but this is a definite improvement. So what you've actually got it made out of is a great big tapered head screw, okay, countersunk screw with an Allen key in it, and it's a 10mm bit that they've just wedged in the end of it there. You can get a 10mm socket onto that to hold it. So the main thing that does the pulling is this very hard steel washer. I don't know what kind of consistency it's made out of, but you can see it's been machined back at a taper, and it's got a split in it. So it goes down this way onto the taper like that, and of course the same situation. You push that down through the seat of the bearing, and that'll spring in behind it. Now then you've got this nut here, which has been relieved and bored out at the back like that, and that goes down on there like that so that it fits onto the end of the taper. So that's cleared so that it can push down on the taper and actually get the taper to spread that washer out and lock it in behind the bearing race that you're trying to pull out. Now this is Houdini stuff here. What I'll do, no, I got it on. So that goes down the shaft. Hang on one second, and I'll just pause this. So there it is now with the nut screwed down onto the other nut, which has been bored out at the back to push down on the taper, and you can see even there that it's actually spread the gap in that race just by hand, even loosely. So you put that in from the top down. If it's the top race, push it up from the bottom and lock it in behind the race. You put an extended bar on there with a 10mm socket on it to hold it, and get a spanner on that nut and tighten it down to split that nut on the collet and drive that sharp edge in behind the bearing race in the head. Then this goes on down from the top. It's cut the same size as the stem, and you'll notice that inside it, it's had a recess machined or a rebate machined in the edge. This is square, this is rebated, so you make sure that that goes down onto the top of your steering stem, which in effect will be sitting now like that. Then, now this was the weak point. This washer here and this nut's got a step machined in it, and it goes into that washer to locate it to stop it from spinning off. Some of the steering head bearings are in so tight that I've actually bent that washer into a dish 2 or 3 times, had to beat it back on a lump of steel to flatten it out again. So I just got another washer. I went to my local place and I bought another washer that fits in there first. Then this goes on top, and nothing has ever beaten that one. So I put plenty of grease on under that nut and on the threads of the tapered stud, and that will pull anything I've ever found out. This is version 2. Version 1 wasn't so hot, but version 2 works every time. So I hope that helps some of the people. It comes from CycleWorks in the USA. It's not terribly expensive if you're only doing the job once and you're keeping the bike. Certainly it's worth having. Now, some of you, I just thought, might be wondering what that recess is for. It's to let the race come up far enough to come out of the steering stem. It needs to come up just a little bit further than the length of that, and they put that in there for that reason. So there's the two methods I use. This is my special tool for reseating the lower bearing on the lower fork tree, on the lower steering stem tree. I just push it down the slide. That fits just over the stem, barely, onto the inner race of the bearing, and I tap that down with a copper face mallet until it seats. That's how you get that bearing on there. It's pretty simple, really. Anyway, that's my ultrasound machine's turned itself off. It's time for me to go and build a couple of carbies. But I hope that helps you. Stay well, ride safely. We'll talk again soon.